Are these the same as these? They appear to be, but thanks to the concept of shrinkflation, which we're going to talk about today, they may look the same, but in fact they are not. Hi, and welcome to Uncle Scott's Pancast, episode 14. Today we're going to talk about inflation in money, shrinkflation in consumer packaged goods. We're going to have some fried rice commentary, a little bit of feedback from that walk video we did. We're going to do some poll results about which pan you might want to use on the surface of Mars. Got some carbon steel seasoning and more. Let's get started. You know, the internet's great for a lot of things. One of the things it's really good at is giving me new things to worry about. The latest one is called shrinkflation. Shrinkflation is a monetary economic term. It's come about in the last couple of years. I only became aware of it in the last week or two. And what it is, it's kind of a corollary to inflation. Now, lots of us are familiar with inflation. If you're used to going to the grocery store and buying a gallon of milk, it always costs $3.50. You go and it costs $3.85. There's been inflation. You're paying more for the same thing, more for that same gallon of milk. Shrinkflation is a corollary concept. It's where the price remains the same, but you get less of the good or product for it. For example, these Costco Kirkland paper towels. I've been buying paper towels at Costco for 2 decades now. I do it on autopilot. I go in, I buy the case of them, and never think twice about it. Well, there's a meme going around the internet about shrinkflation in these Costco paper towels. They said in the older rolls, they were bigger, there were more sheets per roll. The newer rolls have fewer sheets. So thank goodness for the pandemic. Back last year, I went ahead and stocked up on some paper towels. Due to the pandemic, I go through them quite a lot around here doing all these pan reviews. I clean a lot of pans, do a lot of kitchen cleaning. So I stock up on paper towels. Went down to my storage room and it turns out that there is indeed shrinkflation in the Costco paper towels. In the old roll here, 160 sheets per roll. In the seemingly similar, same looking newer roll, 140 sheets per roll. Shrinkflation. The price remains the same, but you get fewer paper towels for it. Now there's a lot of inflation going on in the economy. You've probably heard about lumber prices. This 2x4 here, about like a gold nugget these days. Housing prices are up, gas is up, lumber prices are up, grocery prices are up. But one of the ways that stores and or manufacturers can kind of slip some of that inflation by you is make you think you're getting the same thing as before, but you're getting less, but keeping that price the same. The inflation is kind of hidden and it's kind of masked. Now I hesitate to use the word hidden because if you look at the packaging on the old paper towels versus the new, it is right there on the front of the package. 160 versus 140. They are not hiding anything. It's just that as consumers, if it's something like paper towels that I kind of buy on autopilot, I would never think twice to even look at the packaging for any differences in quantity included. So let's carefully, lightly tread out onto the thin ice of math and try and determine just exactly how much we're getting screwed here. So the old rolls had 1,026 square feet. The new rolls had 898 square feet. That gives us a difference of 128 square feet. With me so far? Okay, now you may need to fix a drink and kick back and think about this for a second, but what it means is that the new rolls of paper towels from Costco, in terms of square footage, are 12.5% less than the original larger rolls. The original larger rolls are 14.25% larger than the new smaller rolls. Now, is there hyperinflation in the economy or not? I don't know. Monetary policy is a little bit beyond the scope of Uncle Scott's Pancast. But if you're wondering just how much inflation there is out there, looking at the difference between the new paper towels and the old paper towels at Costco, it could be anywhere 12-14% as a rough guess. Now, are you guys seeing signs of shrinkflation in the stuff you buy? That's going to be the topic for our next poll. Make sure you vote there under the community tab at Uncle Scott's Kitchen. And speaking of polls, let's take a look at the poll results from last time. I thought this one was really interesting. Over 750 people voted. I thought that was pretty good. We asked if you were a colonist headed to Mars and Elon Musk said you could only take one frying pan along with you, which kind would it be? Surprisingly, or perhaps not surprisingly here, we're a little bit biased towards carbon steel. Carbon steel won with 46% of the vote. I thought stainless steel would win. It came in at roughly 25%, cast iron another 25%. And I got to thinking about this a little bit more. With that lower atmospheric pressure on Mars, perhaps I should have included an option with a tight fitting lid. Perhaps a cast iron Dutch oven, or maybe even a pressure cooker. Okay, I put up that review of the Lodge wok last week. I liked that wok. It generated a lot of feedback underneath that video. Lots of people were posting a lot of wok tips. If you're looking for some of those, definitely check out the feedback section underneath that video. A couple I wanted to point out here. Tony Bowie wrote in. He said he has the same wok, but even with his gas burner on high, the temps drop drastically when he adds food. He preheats the wok for about 15 minutes. It's still not working. So what's going on here is he's got a gas burner, but it's not powerful enough to do some real wok cooking on a stovetop. With these cast irons, what you might do is preheat that wok in the oven a little bit. Now, if you preheat the wok in the oven, it's not going to have 3 different temperature zones. You're not going to have that sear zone, the medium zone, and then the non-cooking zone up the sides. It's all going to be one big zone. But I know that when I cook cornbread in a cast iron skillet, I'll preheat that cast iron skillet at least 20 minutes in the oven before I even make the cornbread. So you can do that with a cast iron wok. Might give it a little bit of a jump start into getting up to those searing and wok cooking temperatures. Diana Pardo wrote in, she asked, can I use instant rice instead of making it like you did in the video? Heck yeah, you can. You can do whatever you want in your own kitchen. Now, if some sort of jackass like Gordon Ramsay were coming over, you might want to bring your A game and do things very properly so he doesn't yell at you. But when it's your food and you're cooking on a day-to-day basis, do whatever you want. And that's one thing I've learned about fried rice. There's no one specific recipe. You can take the rice and add pretty much whatever you've got in your kitchen, whatever you've got in your fridge. You can use meat, you can use ham, chicken, beef, you can use no meat, you can use eggs, no eggs, on and on and on. Now I've watched about 9 zillion fried rice videos on YouTube, and I can't remember which of the guys recommended this, but one of the guys, one of the real experts, says that he even uses pre-made rice sometimes. That rice you get in the little tubs or in the little packets at the grocery store. He says it comes out a little bit drier and it's already got that little bit of texture to it. It actually works pretty well for fried rice. So when it comes to making fried rice, there's perfection that you might get in a Chinese restaurant. On the other hand, there's the stove you've got, the wok you've got, the ingredients you've got on hand at home. Heck, why not give it a try? It's rice, it's not a T-bone steak. Carbon steel seasoning. Person named Rick wrote in, sent these pictures. This is his carbon steel skillet. It's definitely got some seasoning going off the middle. He said his wife cooked something with tomatoes, also cooked something with mozzarella cheese that got burnt on there for about an hour. He had to scrub that out. And he's looking at the pan and he asked me, what is wrong with this pan? Well, when I take a look at this pan, here's what I think. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that pan. I think it's just new and you just need to do more cooking. And one thing I did was send him a couple of pictures I've taken from some of the marketing materials from Debouillet, from Maviel, from Mapper and others. If you look at their marketing materials, they don't show jet black shiny pans. They show mottled pans, pans with uneven seasoning. And I think the message here is that you don't have to have a perfect looking jet black shiny pan to cook delicious food. Now, Rick said his eggs were sticking. I sent him a couple of links to some of the egg cooking videos we've shown around here. Even when you have a nicely seasoned pan, you can still get sticking eggs. So I sent him some tips on how to get his eggs to slide regardless of the seasoning. Also, I understand if that middle of that pan looks a little shiny, if that bothers you. I told him what he could do is just heat that pan up to smoking on the stovetop, take a drop or two of oil on a couple of paper towels, just rub that one spot, and if you stand there and let it smoke, it will darken in kind of in real time over a minute or two. If you got an hour to kill and want to sit there and do that, you can darken in one spot on one of these pans pretty easily without doing a full big maintenance seasoning. So that's not too hard to do. Anyway, Rick got back in touch. He said, thank you, first of all. He's been cooking eggs and they're not sticking. And he said he did the fried egg test and his egg is now sliding around. Way to go, Rick. Okay, regardless of what your wife might say, save your scraps of 2x4. Do not clean out your garage. That about wraps her up for episode 14 of Uncle Scott's Pancast. Leave your questions, comments, and feedback below. Check out the shopping links. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time on Uncle Scott's Pancast.